Hey guys, hi, it's Justin. Welcome again to Baseball and Whatever. We are here with another special edition podcast interview. There's Greg and Vinny, and we have an amazing guest, Mike from the Quack Attack Podcast. It has graciously joined us. Mike, thank you so much for coming on to Baseball and Whatever. We appreciate it, man.
No problem. I'm excited to talk baseball and whatever.
I was going to say, yeah, this will not be a prerequisite of baseball. We won't quiz you or anything like that, but
yeah, we don't want baseball tonight.
No,
really,
no. The Cubs are awful. So we're based out of Chicago. The Cubs are awful. The White Sox are good, but their manager's a joke. So we will keep the baseball talk to a minimum for you. So
that's all right. I'm a Tigers fan, so yeah, it's probably better not to talk about it.
Yeah, understandable. All right. Well, for those of you listening or watching on YouTube, again, we are Baseball and Whatever. You can reach us at baseballandwhatever@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at baseball and what. So the Quack Attack Podcast, let me give you a little rundown of Mike's podcast with his buddies, Kevin and Tommy. They've done over, I think you guys are up to almost 260 episodes now. You started in 2014. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Wow. Does it feel like, when you look back, can you believe that you've been doing it for this long?
Not really. Like the people say, 2014, it's been 7 years or whatever, 8 years. Yeah, I mean, I still remember our first episodes in I have a house now. That was 4 apartments ago. I got married since then. So my whole life has changed then. And it's weird to think that that podcast started way before all those things happened.
Yeah. It's like a time capsule of your life, right?
Yeah,
it's going to follow you around on the internet now forever, So,
yeah.
But yeah, so Quack Attack's had 250 episodes, been 7 years. Let me run down a couple of the interviews you've had. And that's kind of what drew me to you guys when I found you on Apple. You've interviewed Stephen Brill, who is the original writer of the Mighty Ducks. He also was the lawyer in D1, and I believe he was a waiter in D2? I think that's what he was.
Yeah,
right?
He was a party guest in D2.
That's it. Okay. You just interviewed Vincent LaRusso. I listened to that. That was awesome to hear him talk because I feel like it was I hadn't really heard a lot about him since the movies. You guys have interviewed Matt Doherty, who did Averman. You've interviewed Shaun White, who played Goldberg. You had Kenny Wuan, who is played by Justin Wong. I listened to your Tammy interview with Jane Blank. That was awesome. You've had Carp, who was Aaron Schwartz. One of the other interviews I thought was amazing. You guys had Adam F. Goldberg, creator of the Goldbergs, on. And I thought it was so cool that you guys were kind of I wouldn't say pitching ideas, but hey, what would you do if, you have some pull, you have a TV show, you work with Happy Madison Productions, what would you guys do? So what was it like talking to him? Was it kind of in awe, or what was that like?
Yeah, it was interesting because I don't remember how we figured out he was a Mighty Ducks fan. He might have tweeted about it or something. And then it was just sort of a matter of, worming our way into his circle and getting an interview. And he gave us all things. Well, he wrote he cornered Brill and pitched a D4 to him.
Yeah.
So it was he was a big fan. We were obviously big fans. So it was really interesting to hear from his side.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he has since switched production companies, so he's now on the Disney.
Oh man,
he's in that circle, so I feel like he could play a factor here.
I feel like there's going to be another pitch meeting in the near future now with you guys, right? Just a few before we get really into it. Few other guests you've had Maria Ellington, who played the Iceland trainer. You had Karsten Nogard, who played Wolf, the dentist Stanson. Dylan Playfair, who's the coach of the Ducks now in Game Changers. He's also hysterical in Letterkenny, if anyone's ever watched that. You've had the Game Changers cast on. You've had Jack White, who's kind of the technical hockey advisor, and I believe he was one of the referees in D1, I want to say, right?
Right. He was a referee in D1. He was the varsity coach in D3.
That's right. So. That's right. All right. Well, let's dive into it. So I guess my first question for you, and then Vinny and Greg, we can talk about it too, is so Mike, what was your first recollection of getting into the Ducks? Obviously, I feel like there has to be a little bit of fandom for you guys to start a podcast, but what's your earliest memory of was it the movies? Was it seeing the logo for the first time in the NHL? What was it that kind of drew you to the Mighty Ducks overall?
Yeah. So I come from a hockey family. I'm the youngest of 4. My brothers played hockey. My sister played hockey for a bit. I played hockey growing up. So I don't remember like the first time seeing the Ducks. I don't remember it being life-changing, but they were always on. And they were always, you would always see it on cable, some random cable channel back when everybody watched cable. And yeah, they were always on. And then you just started seeing them over and over again. And like I was from obviously a hockey popular state, but it was like, it's still, people still cared more about football, baseball. So like for this movie to be hockey, and like I was a big hockey fan, played hockey. That was my life when I was little. I guess you're sort of drawn to anything that's hockey and like this is your world. So that's how I got into it for sure.
Vinny, I know you and I have talked about the Ducks ad nauseum, probably to an unhealthy amount in our times at family parties and stuff. And Greg, you too. Like Vinny, what was your earliest recollection of the Ducks?
I can't remember, but it's just one of those things where, you know, seeing that movie and just seeing like, oh, these are kids. Like, I'm a kid. Like, I wish I could be, you know, I always wanted to play hockey. I never could. I can't skate. Parents probably should have taken me to the mall and pushed me down some stairs. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I always thought the movies were just great. Just great sports movies.
I feel like it gave
or documentaries, right?
Yeah, documentaries, right? Yes. Let's get the terminology right with the guest of honor here. Greg, what about you? I know we talk a lot about Goon and Slapshot, but the Ducks are still special too. What is your earliest recollection of the Ducks?
Well, first I want to say every time I feel like I talk about a movie on our podcast, it's either, you know, recorded off television VHS or some bootleg copy, and that was the case with the Mighty Ducks. Only though it was a bootleg. My cousin worked at some video store where they have the VHS releases, but they weren't for sale. Like they always had like a tag on them, like this video is not for resale or whatever.
Oh yeah,
so that was the case with the Mighty Ducks. It came one of those big VHS cases. But my first Mighty Ducks movie was not the first one or the second one. But the third one. My D3 was actually my intro into the Mighty Ducks. I believe the Mighty Ducks were already an NHL team by the time that movie came out.
Right.
So that was my first. I actually watched them out of order. So it went D3, then 1, then 2. See what I watched it, but Justin, I know your feelings on D3, but I'm actually still a defender of that movie because, like I said, it was my first experience, and that inspired me. That I never played hockey, but that movie inspired, my love for, hockey. I'm not even saying the Blackhawks here in Chicago, but I had a lot of the NHL games specifically, and I would recreate all the characters. So, that definitely had a huge influence on me, especially when Dean Portman came
from Morgan Park. Yeah,
I had no idea who this guy was, and like here he is, 21, skating on the ice. I'm like, oh, he's a big deal. So.
Yeah, he had a Morgan Park Academy. I mean, Morgan Park was like 10 minutes from where I grew up, so I was like, oh, I could be like him when I grow up.
Dean Port is my favorite Duck, and he's married to Idina Menzel in real life, I believe. So.
Yeah, everything worked out for him. Right. I know for me, like I still remember going to see the first one. I think that was 92, so I would have been about 5. I still remember, Greg, you probably know where Ford City is. Ford City is it's like a little neighborhood on the edge of Chicago. It's a little sketchy nowadays, but the movie theater there was extremely cheap, so we used to go there when we were kids with our parents, and we saw it. And I remember coming out, I'm like, all right, well, I need to buy a pair of skates and I need to learn how to skate. and from there on out, I got, my parents enrolled me in like learn to skate classes, and I was playing Pee Wee, before not too long, and men's league and all that nowadays. But I guess that leads me to my next question, Mike. Like for us, our little podcast, if that's what you want to call this, we've only been doing this for like a month and a half, 2 months now, just because we got tired of not being able to see each other during COVID and everything. But like, how do you guys come about, like you and Tommy and Kevin, like, do you just one day wake up and be like, hey, we should talk about the Ducks like for the next 7 years? Like how does that come about?
Yeah. So I originally got the idea in college. I worked for the school paper, and part of the being an editor of the school papers, you go in at 6 p.m. and you edit, you write, you put the paper together, and you leave at 2 a.m. And a lot of time you're sort of waiting around, waiting for stories to come in. So you'd get in random conversations with people, and everyone had an opinion about the Mighty Ducks. Everyone had some sort of opinion, or like they pointed out flaws, or hey, what is Trinidad and Tobago doing? Why did they even qualify? So that's when I started to like get the idea that like I should talk about this with someone, I guess. Sure. Like, it wasn't until later when Tommy, Kevin, and I all used to work at the same place, and Tommy and I would work again. Our shift was 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. So everyone was gone except for us. We were literally the only people on the floor. We were sitting right next to each other again. So you just start talking about random stuff. And one night at like 11 o'clock, we just get into an argument about whether Bombay really learned anything at all in D1. And which would be the basis for our first episode.
Right. Right.
I came in the next day and I was like, do you want to start a podcast? And he was like, yes. And at that same time, Kevin was walking down the hall and Tommy was like, hey, Kevin, do you want to be on Mighty Ducks podcast? And he was like, sure. And then it was a matter of figuring out how to do it. So, went on Amazon, ordered some mics.
Yep.
Got, like, mic screens from China that took like 4 weeks to get there.
Yep. That's pretty much what our last month has been for the most part.
I was going to say that's how we got started. Justin. It was a text message late at night. I'm like, you're like, baseball sucks in Chicago. Should we do a podcast about it? I'm like, okay.
Yeah. So it's so cool though that like to know that, you can kind of tell on your show, like obviously you guys have been friends for a long time. It definitely shows in the episodes and stuff. That's awesome. What about, like, out of all the interviews you've done, and I know Vinny and Greg, I've been listening to the show for a while. Vinny and Greg have started listening to it. Out of all your interviews, is there one that like really stands out as like either you were shocked that you were able to get this person, or shocked at the way that they were so friendly and kind to come on? Like, what interview kind of stands out or rises to the top when you guys think of all the stuff you've done?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of getting people, obviously getting Steve Brill, the creator, was like a big win. And then we as soon as he got on and like started making fun of us and stuff, like we kind of understood like, okay, he gets us.
He gets it, right?
Yeah. So that like has been good. He's been on a couple times now. So like that was big. Some of the smaller random ones are really interesting. We had like the director of photography, Mark Irwin, and he told us stories about how he got started in the Canadian porn industry.
Yep. That was an interesting episode. I did not see that one coming.
Yeah. You mentioned Jack White. He's obviously a big friend of the pod. He's always got great stories. He was the technical director, taught all the kids how to skate and stuff like that. So those are the big ones. And yeah, I mean, any of the actors, like Matt Doherty's obviously really interesting. Vinny was really interesting. So any of those actors were also big too.
Is there anyone, obviously I know in listening, there's that, like, I wouldn't call it drama, but like, there's that like urban legend of the kid that played Banks, but then got kicked off of the filming. Like, is there any guest like that you're kind of like, you're like your ultimate like pie in the sky? Like, if we could somehow get this person on the show, like that's our golden goose kind of thing. Is there anybody that you would like to interview?
Yeah, I mean that guy is one of three. Yeah, he is definitely. I'm working on him. I'm trying to get it. But the other two obviously would be Josh Jackson, who played Charlie Connell, and then Emilio,
the Mighty Duck man himself.
Yeah. So those are probably the big three right now. Now that we got Brill.
Okay, so that's well, I look forward to refreshing on my phone at one point and being like. Quack Attack interviews Gordon Bombay, Emilio Estevez. Hopefully that day comes for you guys. That would be awesome. I guess my next question for you guys, and I know Vinny and I have talked about this a lot with the TV show. I've listened to some of your, you guys do the quick review of each episode. Vinny, do you want to describe kind of your take on the series so far before we ask Mike his opinion on it?
Yeah, I mean it's good so far.
Okay.
Yeah, I think with the episode where they all kind of came back, I watched that, and then I watched the pond hockey one, which was the famous eyes closed.
Close your eyes, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think meshing those two episodes together was bad because it just left an entire bad taste in my mouth for both of those episodes. Although I think the one where everybody came back, I think that was actually better than what I had originally got from it. I sat down and watched both those episodes, but it's been good. I think the last episode, I think you and I were both talking about that. We both really enjoyed that one and kind of got back to more of like the Ducks.
Yes, and I know
like everybody.
We kind of talked about how it seemed like Coach Alex is now taking on the role of like what is it?
Captain Blood.
Coach Blood. Yeah. You know, the return of Captain Blood. Sorry, Captain Blood. So that's been kind of cool to see. Mike, like, and obviously I know you guys have been reviewing them, but what's your take on just the series as a whole right now? Do you think it's got room to grow? Do you see it coming back? Do you think it's been more ups than downs? What would you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's had its highs and lows, but I think the highs are much more prevalent than the lows there. I personally, I mean, I was inclined to like it from the jump, but it's sort of been what I wanted out of it. It's been new. It's kind of twisted it. So I don't really have any major complaints. Obviously, like if you listen to our podcast, we get deep into it. Yeah. On some of the stuff with that, like we point out, but yeah, overall, I've been really enjoying it week to week. So,
it's definitely. Greg, what about you? I know you've been trying to get caught up on it. Like, what would you ideally like to see, Greg, from the series itself as a whole?
Well, I know we've been talking about it, and when the trailer first came out, I know you guys were pretty pumped.
Oh, we were all in from the get-go. Yeah.
And now I kind of kept my thoughts to myself because my initial impression was, how do I tell Justin and Vinny, but this looks terrible. But you know what? I'm gonna give it a chance. You know me. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm getting to it.
I'm still waiting for you to finish watching the Snyder Cut.
Exactly.
So I know it's gonna take time.
Still stuck on part 3. So I'm gonna, but yeah, like you said, it's still the Mighty Ducks, and I saw that promo. I know you guys were talking about it when I think 6 of the original Ducks
the original cast came back. Yeah.
And I know Connie Moreau was one of them, so it's like, okay, yeah,
you gotta watch it.
You gotta see.
If Connie's there, I'll be there. So.
Connie wouldn't do you wrong. She's gonna do the right thing. So,
but yeah, no, you guys are saying good things about it. Highs and lows. I mean, I could definitely see that. And Lauren Graham doesn't really do it for me. I mean, just with whatever. But no, I will give it a shot.
You want to give it a shot
and hopefully get back to you guys maybe before the Snyder Cut even gets done.
There you go.
No, it is good. It is good to hear you guys give some positive feedback because we all kind of have the same likes and dislikes for the most part. So I feel pretty confident that if you guys are up on it, then I'm sure I will be too. So I just gotta get there.
I feel like, and Mike, maybe you can help me out with this. Because I grew up playing ice hockey too, and inline and in men's leagues and all that stuff too. I think the only thing that bugs me, and I don't know why it bugs me when there's stuff in the movies that's a little silly and far-fetched for ice hockey, but the only thing that bugged me so far was just that episode where it was just go out there, be one with the puck, close your eyes, pass it. And that was
you got heated on that, Justin. You were talking about that. You were angry.
I remember sitting there watching it with my wife, and she's a big Ducks fan, but she's convinced the third one is one of the better ones. So I'm surprised our marriage has lasted this long. But I was sitting there watching it, and I was like, what are you doing? You don't close your eyes while you're trying to skate and all that. So, and again, I know it's a kids series probably first and foremost, but I feel like what are we, the early millennial generation being in our 30s now? It's like, I know they're trying to tap into that too, but Mike, what was, as a former hockey player, what was your take on that scene? Were you kind of put off, or were you like, they're just having fun?
Yeah. I mean, that was definitely a low point. I think, I think of all the hockey scenes, of the hockey plays, there's been some really good ones. That one was the biggest stretch by far. You're basically like, why don't the Hornets just go and take the puck when they're slowly turning and passing to it? But so like I said, highs and lows. Yeah, it's a low, but
I think they came back strong, especially in this last episode. So
where it was completely sort of the big hockey play was a completely sort of realistic play that they pulled from previous like hockey history. So.
Yeah, seeing them reference the Michigan move, and for anybody that doesn't know that move where you kind of pick up the puck on your stick behind the net and just kind of roof it, I can admit I've never even tried to do that because I would have fallen on my ass on skates if I tried to do that. But seeing them do that, and that is so much more of a hockey move or a hockey play, if you will, as opposed to like the flying V. Like I was really impressed that they had the wherewithal to like, hey, stick that in. That's pretty cool, So I give them credit. They're definitely trying. All right, here's another question for you, and I'm sure, I don't know if you'll feel we're giving giving it to you too much, but personally, I mean, you guys have talked to Brilla, you've talked to directors, you've talked to writers and principals of photography and actors and actresses. Do you guys ever feel like you have a little bit of something to do with the way that this is kind of resurged and kind of come back? Like I kind of feel like, man, good thing Quack Attack was around. They kind of got that voice out there. Do you guys ever think like, yeah, we had something to do with this, or are you more bashful about it?
No, yeah, we say we're 1% responsible, and I think Brill has agreed to give us that percentage.
Oh, well, hey,
with it. So yeah, he did say, so Nick is the podcast kid in Game Changers.
Yes.
He said it's kind of sort of based off us. So like he allowed us to take credit for it. So we're definitely taking all the credit for Nick. We're taking credit for it coming back. Yeah, anything we can take credit for, we will.
Might as well.
I would say Nick is probably my favorite new character out of the whole series. I don't know, Vinny or Mike. I don't know where you guys stand, but
yeah, I think he's had the best line so far. He's always, I don't know, he's definitely the funniest character.
Yes,
I like most of his lines that he has.
Yeah. And I really liked the little arc they gave him about, kind of being upset that he had this one thing over someone else on the team. And then, now he's not going to have that. So he's back to kind of being lower. And I can't remember the exact line, and I think you guys referenced it in your last episode, Mike, where it was like, why does everyone think I'm an A student? I'm like B- at best,
Yeah. He's a straight B-.
Him, and I'm kind of waiting to see. I'm kind of curious if you guys will come up with any theories for this, your alternate theories you guys have, but I kind of want to know what they're going to do with is it the two brothers from the Czech Republic?
Yes.
They haven't done anything with them yet.
Yes.
And they're just in the background, look, they give that awkward look like they have no idea what's going on. I'm kind of curious. You got any thoughts on what you'd like to see them do with them?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this angrily each week that nothing happens.
Nothing happens. Yeah.
We got it. There's a few theories floating around that maybe they had a bigger role and it just sort of fell flat. So they sort of just cut it, but they're in the background of all these things. They have to keep them. I'm starting to think that it's just going to be like they're just going to be in the background the whole time, and they're not going to say anything.
Sure,
and that's just going to kind of be the joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I feel like they might play a factor here in the last couple of episodes, but yeah, I'm sort of now rooting for them not to do anything. It just for like 5 seasons of them just to be in the background and then do nothing. Yeah.
Right. Just kind of bodies to fill out the roster, but you never hear from them. You just see them in the background. All right. I think that in talking with the new show, I think that brings up to a great transition to our next point is there anything in terms of like 90s movies, whether it be Sandlot, Little Giants, Big Green, Ladybugs, Rookie of the Year, Little Big League? I'm sure I'm missing some, but
Angels in the Outfield.
Oh, hey, how could I miss Angels in the Outfield? This is a baseball podcast after all, right? Is there any, Greg, we can start with you. Is there any that you would like to see from your childhood, or I mean, our childhood, that you would like to see get this treatment? Granted, maybe not Disney, but kind of where they jump into the future and they kind of continue the story, or do you think some of those are best left in the 90s?
I'm always going to kind of default to leave it in the 90s a little bit because I like to preserve those a little bit. But just with, popularity of the Sandlot, that's always the one that kind of sticks out, because as far as baseball goes, at least, because that is the one that is, that was everyone growing up playing baseball, and just to even I'm still kind of surprised there hasn't been, something on that yet, maybe not called it, maybe just referencing the Sandlot, but, just a bunch of kids playing street baseball, because that's the one I gravitated towards the most, because, like so many other people, like that was me, growing up playing baseball with my friends.
Right.
So, and I actually think something like that now would be totally beneficial, just like the Ducks are with hockey. I mean, I think hockey, is super popular right now, especially with kids at a young age, where baseball, I think, is struggling a little bit. So maybe if there was a series like the Sandlot or something, just playing pickup baseball with your friends or something like that. Something something funny, something, true, endearing. So I don't know. That's the one that kind of stands out to me. And Rookie of the Year, I don't know what you do with that one. So,
I think you have Henry Rowan Gardner come back as an adult, and he pitches for the Cubs as an adult.
Who was that actor? Who was that actor again?
Oh, what
Was
it's the guy from American Pie. I can't
Thomas
think-
Yeah.
Ian
Sir
Nichols,
Ian-
right?
Yes,
Thomas
yes.
Ian Nichols, right?
That's it, yeah.
What's he up to nowadays?
I know he shows up to Wrigley every once in a while to sing the seventh inning stretch and talk
throw
about
out the first
and
pitch.
throw out the first
Oh, he
pitch. And I know
does?
he's got a rock band too, but I don't know what else he's doing. So
Really?
that American
Okay.
Pie money's probably still rolling in, I would imagine. So
Yeah, and Mike, what was his name? Who played Luis from Mighty Ducks? Who
Mike
was also
Vitar.
Vitar, yeah, he got into some trouble, didn't he? Like, didn't he become a firefighter and he got like arrested for something?
Yeah, so he's a firefighter in LA, and he was off duty or whatever, but there was like this whole confrontation at Halloween where he and another firefighter, they were charged, I think, with assault. I don't want to say anything wrong here.
Right.
Right. No, yeah.
yeah, understandable.
Yeah. So I don't know what happened to it, if it got dismissed or they reached an agreement.
Right.
But
I remember hearing that. Yeah.
Yeah, that could
So,
definitely put a wrench in the gears if there was anything in the works there.
Yeah.
What about you? Was there any other, 90s movies, kids sports movies that you kind of gravitated to besides, the Ducks and hockey that you'd like to see come back and get that treatment?
Yeah, so we actually talk about this in our episode that's coming out this week. So,
sweet.
Good timing. Here.
Perfect.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I guess our criteria was something that, was good, but you could sort of twist and you could change a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And we arrived kind of at heavyweights.
Oh, I didn't even think
nice.
about that. That would be a great idea.
So heavyweights, obviously it's a fat camp, they compete, just hijinks, very Mighty Ducks-ish, Steve Brill, same creator.
Yep.
We were thinking heavyweights reboot, maybe with girls now, just to switch it up. And
I like that idea.
Yeah.
I'd be down for that.
Vinny, what about you? Is there any? I know you were a big soccer guy growing up. Are we talking like Ladybugs and Big Green, or what do you think?
I don't remember Ladybugs too much outside of Rodney Dangerfield being
Okay.
in it, and I feel like they've done stuff like that.
Yeah,
in those
yeah.
movies. The Big Green offended me as a soccer player. That was pathetic. So they probably should just redo that whole movie and just make it more believable.
Mhm.
I don't know. I know when we were talking about this, I thought The Sandlot would be a good one. Like,
Sure.
just move it like, however many years it's been since the original release and move it into that time period, kind of like what they did with the movie It.
Yeah.
So, they moved that forward. So just move it forward ahead and just kind of do in that era and try to come up with something. I don't know exactly what they do, but I'd like to see something like that.
Or even with that, because I think The Sandlot takes place in the 60s, right? So like you could move it up.
Yeah.
I mean, it bums me out because this is the age we are, but like the 90s are like the new hotness, right? Like all my students at school want to know, what was it like in the 90s? It's like, oh God, you're killing me. But
It was yesterday.
It was great.
It was like 10 years ago, right? I think that would be pretty cool. You could move it into a different time period, or like, people still love going back to the 80s, move it to the 80s and have the kids playing the 80s, or I feel like lately on Twitter, whenever I see stuff about The Sandlot, there's a lot of hate for that scene at the end where Smalls is the color commentator, and then you have what's his name? Benny the Jet as on playing for the Dodgers. And for some reason, like a lot of people don't like that scene. I don't know what happens that people turned on it, but
Justin, you follow a lot of like sports people, so they look at that and go, that's never gonna happen.
Yeah,
the
that's
guy
true.
that plays baseball is never gonna point up to the announcer and be like, I did it.
Yeah. And that I still get upset when I see that the bill on that hat. It's like
The big fishing bill.
Yeah, the big fishing bill. But that's neither here nor there. All right, we will start to wrap up because I don't want to take too much of Mike's time. So we're gonna do a little rapid fire, Mike. You tell us what you think. Best Bombay mentor, would you go Hans or Jan in this situation?
Hans, just because he's pulling all the strings behind the scenes, really.
I was going to say, can you explain? I tried to explain it to these two guys because I don't know if they caught that episode. I know you've talked about it on multiple episodes, but can you just kind of explain like the Hans conspiracy theory that you guys have?
Yeah, so we're trying to figure out why Hans's sports shop's so big, why he only cares about one tiny peewee league. And Kevin came up with this idea that it was all a front. It was all a front for this drug operation that Hans was running, and uses these kids, uses Peter Mark, Dave Karp gets involved
Yes.
to run his drugs out to the streets. And some of the parents are involved. There's questions about whether Bombay's dad, how he met his demise. Was he involved? So yeah, once you start peeling back the curtain, there's a lot that you start looking at and say, was Hans behind this? Did he actually die? Did he fake his death?
Right.
So
I was going to ask, did he piss off the wrong person in D3?
And then all of a sudden he leaves the country, That's why his brother has to show up in D2, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. So a lot
right.
to think about there.
And yeah, Peter is not in D2, so it makes you wonder, could something have happened to him in between? Yeah, is he in jail? Maybe. All right, best opponent. Would you go Hawks, Iceland, or Eden Hall?
Ooh, good question. I would say Iceland. Just
okay.
Like Gunnar Stahl is the tiebreaker there. I think they have a lot of talent, so I'll say Iceland.
Okay. What about best goalie? Would you go Goldberg, Julie the Cat, or Koob from the Game Changers?
Julie the Cat. I think she's just a once in a generation talent, but I'm interested to see how Koob plays out here. I think we don't know enough about Koob's trajectory yet to really count him out, but Julie the Cat is the clear winner at this point.
I will admit, as somebody who has spent way too many hours playing EA SHL on the NHL, on PS3 and PS4, seeing that be his character arc, that he is good at the hockey game, so clearly he could be a goalie, was nice to see. So, and again, I think I would go Julie the Cat. That was one thing that bummed me out in D2, that she didn't get enough playing time. I feel like she could have taken Goldberg's reins a little bit, but it is what it is. All right, best new character from Game Changers. I know we kind of talked about that, but would you like to recap one more time who your favorite new character is from Game Changers?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to go with Nick. He's sort of pushing it along. Tommy calls him the Greek chorus. He's sort of saying what we're all feeling. So Nick is sort of the breakout star, I feel like.
And I feel like we all had, I can only speak for myself, but as somebody who has a body for podcasting, I definitely related to his lines in his character right away. All right, best Bash brother, Fulton Portman or Kenny Wu?
I'm gonna say, Fulton's the better player. Portman's more fun, but I'll go with Fulton just because he's the better player, and just the improvement from not being able to skate to becoming a internationally recognized hockey player in like 4 years is pretty impressive.
Yeah. All right. I would agree with that. Vinny, Greg, what about you guys? I know we always talk about being the Bash brothers. What would you go with, Greg?
I got to go with my man, 21, Dean Portman.
All right, fair enough.
Fulton was a close. I love Fulton, obviously.
Fulton was more of a complete player, maybe, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, did I miss? I didn't know Kenny Wu was a Bash brother.
Well, I mean,
that.
they call him like he's like an honorary Bash brother in the second one. So.
Gotcha. Oh, okay.
That's
right.
Vinny, what about you? Who would you go with?
I'd have to go Dean Portman.
Wow. All right. I see. I would go. I think Mike's on the right track. I think I would go Fulton too. I think he's just
the hockey players in both of you.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. All right. Best villain. Would you go O'Reilly, Stanson, or the Eden Hall varsity team, Mike?
I'm gonna go with O'Reilly just because he's got some great lines, and just how serious he took Pee Wee hockey is really to be I don't know if commended's the right word, but just his dedication to the craft is really something to respect, I guess.
I'm sure you've probably had coaches, or you've either played against coaches, Mike, in hockey. There's some really strange hockey parents and hockey coaches out there. So I think they were definitely true to form there. Greg, did you ever have any coaches in baseball growing up that were like O'Reilly in D1?
No, nothing like
really
nothing like Coach Riley. I mean, yeah, sure, I had hard ass coaches, but I never sat in the bench going win. I would still argue that Coach Riley is my favorite Disney villain. I put him right up there with like Scar and Jafar and all that.
I think that's a good idea.
Actually, I had a really quick question for you, Mike. Did Steve Brill, the writer, did he have like it out? I didn't listen to all your episodes, but did he have like an enemy named Riley, growing up? Because I feel like Rileys are also the bad guys in the third one too. Like the captain of the Eden Hall team is Riley, and the prick alumni guys also were Riley. So
Yeah, I know he has not mentioned any sort of Riley. So the Rileys are spelled differently.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of people ask, is Coach O'Reilly related to Riley? Did they change their name or something?
Yeah.
They're spelled differently, so I don't think so. But no, that's a good question that we should definitely ask next time.
Can dive deeper
why do
into
you
that
hate the
one.
Riley?
Yeah. Well, who was Riley and what did he ever do to you?
What did he do to you? Yeah. Vinny, what about you? Did you ever have any coaches that were hard asses like that in D1?
No, no one ever started chanting "It's not worth winning if you can't win big." Although that's how I lived my life.
I guess we're not as tough in baseball and soccer.
I guess
suppose.
not.
Yeah.
It's
Hockey's a tough sport, right?
Yeah,
It's
it
true.
is. It is.
That's true.
It
Well,
is.
you're talking to a guy that never got penalty minutes though, so I was the Lady Bing winner. All right, let's
Well,
continue.
I've gotten
Oh, go ahead.
ejected before. At least I can say that. I've been
there you
ejected.
go. There you go. You've been
there we
ejected.
go.
I have never been ejected. So, all right. Mike, who would you say best player besides besides Banks, all time? Who would you say is the second best player?
Ooh, all time. So including the Don't Bothers.
Everybody across the board.
Ooh, this is I think when you talk about the original Ducks, you have Gee, you have maybe Fulton, Jesse Hall. I mean, just based on what we see, though, I think maybe Sophie from the Don't Bothers.
She is pretty good, yeah.
Might be in the running there. I might go with Sophie.
That's a good pick. Greg, who would you say? I know so I don't know if it's sad or funny, but we have had this conversation before.
We have,
Greg, who would you say?
I'll have the same conversation tomorrow if you want. But I'm probably gonna stick with the same guy. I'm gonna go with 00 Guy Germain.
Guy Germain. Vinny, what about you?
Now Mike mentioned Sophie. I don't know. I was probably gonna say Fulton.
Okay.
It's a slap shot. Gotta love it.
Got a little bit of physicality there to him too.
Yep.
All right, we're wrapping up. Mike, best move: knuckle puck, flying V, or the Michigan move from the Game Changers?
I'm gonna go with knuckle puck just for the cultural aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you say knuckle puck, people don't know
know
about hockey still know what the knuckle puck is and things like that. So yeah, I'll say knuckle puck just because a lot of controversy around the flying V.
Yeah.
Although it's been proven that it's been onside, but yeah,
it can work.
Yeah, a lot of question about the defense and what they're doing there, and then the Michigan sort of generated elsewhere.
Yeah.
So I'll just do it for the cultural relevance, the knuckle puck.
It bums me out, playing ice hockey and street hockey and trying to do the knuckle puck and not getting it to roll like that.
Yeah.
If my dad would have been there with the string pulling it for me, it would have been fine. But all right, last one we got for you. Best hockey jersey from all of the Ducks movies, whether it's the D1 Ducks jersey, the D2, the Eden Hall, the Don't Bothers. What would you go favorite jersey from all of the movies in the TV series?
I'm partial to the D5, the skating duck with the helmet. Yeah, I think it's just kind of a classic. But yeah, I would do that one with the original teal and white Mighty Ducks as number 2.
All right, Vinny, what about you? Which one would you go as your number 1?
You already know this.
Oh yeah, we had a podcast. Favorite
Yeah.
jerseys. That's right. You did the D1, and I know Greg. You were saying what would you go for yours?
Well, when we did our jersey rankings, I had the Ducks alternate. So
yeah.
I'm a sucker for the Duck goalie match with the 2 hockey sticks.
Yep.
So it's obviously that
Same
one,
era.
and then the original one from the green one from the original.
Yeah, that D2 jersey is one of the few that I
see.
own.
They named
not a
the
Blackhawks jersey,
right? I still have a problem because they named the first one after Mr. Ducksworth, and that guy was a jerk. So I always kind of think of that because it's probably still on his wall at the law firm.
I would think so.
Technically, you named it after that.
No, it's not there because they remodeled.
That's true.
That's where
I was really hoping that would be like a nice throwback.
Okay. See, I didn't know that.
As Alex is walking through the law offices, you see the Ducksworth jersey framed somewhere saying original sponsor or whatever.
Yeah.
But, all right. Well, last thing, Mike, if you had to rate D1, D2, and D3, how would you rate them?
All right, so this is a very controversial topic on our podcast. I go 2, 1, 3, mostly just for like I'm a sucker for USA.
Yeah.
So like I definitely think the nostalgia factor is there. If I'm trying to be like a objective adult about it, D2 is kind of just the same as D1. It's the same sort of beats. Yeah. So if I'm saying that, then 1, 2, and then 3, but in my heart, in my, you know, adolescent heart, I'm saying 2, 1, 3.
2, 1, 3. Yeah, I was always a 2, 1, 3 guy. Greg, what about you?
1, 3, 2.
Ooh.
Oh, interesting.
You know, bad takes, I guess, or something we'll have to allow on this podcast.
We'll just edit that out.
Vinny, what about you?
I would say 2, 1, 3. Just because just kind of like Mike, just sucker for USA and the knuckle puck too. The introduction of that was awesome.
Oh yeah. There is a website that I order a bunch of hockey, you know, clothing t-shirts from, and they sell the USA Hendricks jersey and the Trinidad and Tobago jersey. And there has been so many times I've had it in my cart ready to click, and I'm like, when am I going to wear this? And I can't wear this to men's league. I can't wear it to rad hockey because I don't know how I would be treated. But yeah, a lot of good stuff in D2. So, all right, Mike. Well, before we let you go, do you have any advice for us? Like, obviously, you guys have been doing this for 7 years. We're only a month in. Any quick advice? Obviously, I know you got to go, but anything you would suggest on just in general about how to keep going along with this thing?
Yeah, I think the first piece is, just keep going. Like it took us like 50 episodes to get our first guest. So, I mean, I don't know, like it took me a while to sort of find my role. So I thought I was going to be, you know, the star and the funniest one. And then I realized Kevin and Tommy were way funnier than me. So I sort of transitioned over to setting them up and then, you know, jumping in as sort of a third man on the booth. So I think finding your role within the pod and like how you guys interact is probably step one. And then once you sort of figure that out, I guess, you know, finding your niche and like why people are the hook to why people want to listen to your podcast is probably step 2.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Would you like to plug Quack Attack, where people can find you and how they can get a hold of the podcast?
Sure. The quackattack.com, at Quack Attack Pod on Twitter, facebook.com/Quack Attack Pod. We're all there. We've got more guests coming up as we go through these last 2 Game Changers episodes, and probably try to get a few more afterwards. So a lot coming up for us.
Awesome. All right. Well, Mike, you are welcome back anytime. If you want to commiserate with us about any poor Game Changers episodes, or if you want to try and come back and convince Greg on why D3 is definitely not the second best movie, that's fine too. So again, Mike, thank you a ton for your time. We appreciate it. Again, you're listening to Baseball and Whatever. You can find us on Twitter at Baseball and What, and feel free to email the show at baseballandwhatever.com. baseballandwhatever@gmail.com. That's the second time I mess it up. And again,
that's why we're not getting emails.
That's why we're not getting emails. Yeah, see, I need to learn how to read my emails better.
It doesn't have anything to do with no listeners.
No, it's just reading the email wrong. So that's baseballandwhatever@gmail.com. And you can find us if you search Baseball and Whatever on Apple, Anchor, Spotify, Overcast, Google, any of those things. So thanks again to Mike. Be sure to check out the next edition of the Quack Attack podcast. And thanks again for your time. Everybody have a great night. Stay safe, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.
Take care, everyone.
See you.